Trust me. You don't want to ever find out. You won't live long enough to tell anyone else. I walked into the clinic early the next morning to check on Silver Snip. She was the worst out of all the prisoners we saved. She was lying down in the back room, and she looked like hell. Her normally long mane was cut short, and her left eye was swollen shut. And there were cuts all over her face. Somehow, though, she still looked pretty when she smiled. It was as if her smile had a magic of its own, hiding the horrific marks over her short imprisonment.
It's good to see you, Shadow. Why the long face?
She asked as I moved to sit on the chair next to her bed. It's all my fault you were taken. If I would have just given myself up, they wouldn't have ever had to take you or the foals. I looked away from her smiling face, ashamed at what had happened because of my incompetence. I felt a hoof pull my head back around, making me look up into her eyes.
What happened isn't your fault. I don't ever want you to hear say that again.
But
no buts. Shadow, I was the one who made you hide. The blame is mine and mine alone. You are the one who saved us. A small pony, fresh from a stable no less. If anything, you should be proud of yourself.
I couldn't help smiling a little. I only did what any pony else would do. You're my friend, and I couldn't let you die, or get sold into slavery.
That's the thing, Shadow. Most ponies in the wasteland wouldn't have done what you did, even for a friend. Life is too short to risk it on another. What you did was amazing, and I want you to know that.
Amazing or not, I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
Well, I am. Maybe a few scratches and an ugly mane cut. The doc said I'll be out of here soon, though.
Are you sure you're okay?
I am, Shadow. Why don't you head back to the Equestrian Express and get some rest? You look like you've been up all night.
I sighed and laid my head down on her bed. I don't want to go back yet. And I have been up all night. I can't sleep with that damned Pegasus talking and laughing with box tape.
Ah, yes. I heard something about a Pegasus being in town. We don't see them that much around here. What's he like?
He's an ass that doesn't have any manners, and he never shuts up.
Is that the only reason you haven't gotten any sleep?
I looked up at her, sighing again as I reached into my saddlebags and pulled out the memory orb to show her. Sapphire gave me this, before she left to finish off the raiders. I've been waiting to see what was in it, but I'm too scared to watch it.
A memory orb? Do you have any idea what it might be of?
I think it has something to do with my mother. Sapphire thinks it might be a memory of another pony who left my stable.
Isn't that a good thing? You've been wanting to know what happened to her ever since you left, haven't you?
I have. But knowing might not be a good thing. Right now, I still have good memories of her. I'm afraid that if I watch it, I'll see her differently, and lose the good things I remember about her. I felt tears falling slowly from my face. Goddesses, I can't believe I'm crying like this, or something that happened so long ago. I felt her hoof on my head again, making me look up at her.
Shadow, you can't live your life in fear of the unknown. It's better to know the truth, rather than hide from it. And remember, no matter what you find out, you'll always have those good memories of her. If you want, you can view it here. I'll keep an eye on you while you do.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Go on. I'll be here when you're done.
Her smile somehow calmed my nerves. I relaxed a little, then looked down at the silvery orb. I set the memory orb down on the bed next to Silver Snip. Using my magic, I concentrated on the orb. As soon as I connected with it, the world faded away. My vision came back slowly, and I soon found myself looking at the boring gray walls of Stable 28. I tried to move my head to look around, but I couldn't. Oh no, what if something went wrong? I can't move any part of my body. I started to panic for a moment until I realized that I was taller than normal and didn't feel like myself. My head moved and my body started to walk towards the door. I realized then that this wasn't my own body, but some pony else's. Now I know why they call it a memory orb. I'm reliving whoever's memory this is. Of course, that's how it worked. I thought that I would have been following the pony who recorded the memory, like some kind of ghost. The pony I was in, or riding, no, that sounds dirty. I guess I'll call it my host, moved towards the door and opened it. I could tell I was a unicorn. A horn was hard to miss as magic ran through it. Also, she was a mare. Thank goodness, too. I don't know if I wanted to know what a stallion felt like. She walked through the door to the living quarters. Standing there was a pony I knew. Well, it was Auntie. She had a look of worry for some reason. Something I hadn't seen on her much in the past. She looked younger, exactly how I remembered her when I was a filly. She looked up as my host walked in.
Oh, thanks, Celestia. I was worried you weren't going to make it. I had to make sure Shadow was asleep before I could get out. Did you finish it?
Came the voice of my mother, but it felt like I was speaking it. My host was none other than my very own mother. So I was right. The orb was her. It felt kind of weird being in my mother's body, like this, especially because of the height difference. How the hell did the boss get this?
I did. It's all set up and ready for the user. The files you wanted are still there, but hidden away. No pony apart from yourself should be able to find them. Though I wouldn't put it past the new overmare to try and find a way. She's always been suspicious of you ever since you came to the stable,
Auntie said as the door shut behind me, my mother, or whatever. My host flinched and sighed. I remember her always doing that when she was upset.
How much time do I have before she finds out? About you or about your daughter?
Either, I guess.
Shadow's fine. She hasn't shown any new signs of getting worse in the past few years. As far as anybody knows, she's just a normal filly. There's nothing normal about her, and you know it. There's one reason we came here. That, and the mission. I'm not too worried about her, though. I've taken the right precautions. No pony should be able to find out the truth. At least not here. What about me, though? Ever since the Overmare's mother was retired, she took over. She's been doing her best to find out everything she can about you. I don't know everything she's found out, but I do know that my identity is safe and should stay that way. As for you, she knows about the pip-buck you brought in with you. I also think she knows why you came here in the first place.
Auntie said, looking around, as if some pony was about to jump out of nowhere and yell, "Boo."
I figured as much. I received a transmission from the Rangers. They said the Red Talons have been contracted to find me. I'm not sure by who yet, but they're still a threat if they figure out I'm here. The Elder doesn't know if I'm to be brought in alive or dead.
Auntie made a small eep sound, then whispered,
"But you'll be safe in here. There's no way they could find the stable, let alone get into it. The Red Talons have a lot of resources. Given time, I'm sure they'll find this place and a way into it. Just to get to me. The Rangers sent new orders. They want me to leave the stable tonight." "What about Shadow?" "She's just started to make friends. You can't just take her away from that. It's too dangerous for a filly like her in the wasteland." "I know. And with her condition, I can't leave her. Not yet. I don't know what'll happen to her. That is why I'll have to leave her behind and under your care."
She said this as if it didn't bother her one bit. But I could feel my chest tightening as she spoke.
"What? Me? I don't know the first thing about raising a filly," Auntie protested. "You'll just have to learn like any mother would. I don't like this any more than you do, but that's how it's going to have to be." "What will I tell her?" "You know she'll be heartbroken if she finds out you abandoned her. You're the only family she has." "I know she will. So make something up. If that doesn't work, tell her I died in some kind of accident." "You aren't coming back for her, are you?" Auntie said, putting a hoof to my whole shoulder. I want to, but I don't know what'll happen once I'm gone. Anyway, it would be better if she never finds out the truth about me, or who I really am. At least not until she's older. Promise me that you'll keep her safe and healthy."
she said, turning around and pushing Auntie's hoof away.
Grim, I can't let you do this. I don't care what happens to the blasted stable or what your orders are. You can't just leave her alone like this. I won't let you.
My mother's head turned and I could see tears on Auntie's face.
And I can't let you stop me from doing this. The mission is much more bigger than you or me. Bigger than my happiness. I'm sorry for this and everything you'll have to face once I leave.
I could feel a spell building in my host's horn, and before Auntie could say anything else, my mother's spell put her to sleep. My mother walked over and picked up the pip-buck I now wore off the shelf in Auntie's room and placed it into her saddlebags. We turned and headed out the door quietly. After taking a quick look around and seeing no pony, she cast another spell. There was a flash of light, and I found we were now in the lower parts of the stable. My mother was always good at teleportation, but going down 10 levels was amazing. She wasn't even tired. I could feel her heart beating a little faster, but that was about it. She moved quickly over to the area I found my pip-buck, behind the old generator. She pushed the door open and walked inside. She pulled the pip-buck out of her saddlebag, along with the box I found it in. She placed it into the box, closed it, then cast some kind of cloaking spell on it, along with what felt like a protection spell. After that, she stood and said quietly,
I hope this will find you. I only hope I set everything up right. If the Overmare finds it, everything will be lost.
Then she walked back out of the door. She locked it, and using a couple more spells, she made roots grow over the door, made the shadows darker around it, and put a spell on it to keep ponies away. I was amazed at what she was able to do. Auntie always told me my mother was a master of spells, but I never really knew how much until now. She was casting spells I didn't even think were possible. It was almost like watching an incarnation of the Ministry Mare Twilight Sparkle we read about in class. She was a master of magic, too. Hell, it was her special talent. When she finished, I could tell the magic had taken its toll on her body. She felt weak and her vision blurred for a moment. She shook her head and cursed, but it didn't take long for it to pass. She made her way back to the elevators and headed back towards the atrium. At this time of night, there weren't many security patrols around this area. She lifted her Stable 28 issued pip-buck and checked her inventory, then some of her notes. Then she seemed satisfied. She pulled out a magic energy pistol and headed towards the door that led in and out of Stable 28.
Halt! Who goes there?
The stallion said as she made her way towards the stable door. My host stopped and looked over towards the control panel, where the stallion was standing. I didn't know him, but I could swear I'd seen him before, a long time ago. Mother smiled and said,
Fireball, I didn't think you'd be guarding the door tonight.
Yeah? So what, Unicorn? You know you aren't allowed near here.
Why not?
She asked, sounding confused. But being stuck in her body or whatever, I could feel her readying the magical energy pistol, keeping it hidden behind her as she spoke.
New orders from the Overmare. No pony is to go near the door.
I have permission to use the door whenever I need. I'm part of the research team, as you very well know.
No teams are going out into the wasteland anymore. The Overmare's worried that if some pony finds out about the research team going in and out freely, there'll be a riot. So go back to your room, he said, putting his nightstick out.
I'm sorry, Fireball, but I can't do that,
she said, pointing the pistol at him. He laughed.
What? Do you think you're gonna shoot me, you stupid bitch? If you do, you still won't get out, and all you'll do is piss the Overmare off even more.
I'm sure she'll get over it. And why do you think I can't get out if you're dead?
Because she changed the codes to the door. Only she knows it now, he said with a smug smile.
Shame. Well, good thing I already got the codes from her office today earlier. I had a feeling she'd be trying something like this. Now, back off before I have to do something that I don't want to do, she said as her magic started pulling back on the trigger a little.
To my surprise, he smiled.
If you leave, I'll make sure my sister finds out, and she'll make your life a living hell. Or she'll do the same to your daughter. Maybe I'll do that myself. She's not too young anymore, and I do like the fresh meat. They're way more fun than older mares. So, either drop your gun and come back with me to security, or leave with the idea of what I'll do to you, to that filly of yours, once you're gone.
I could feel my host's eyes narrow.
No one threatens my family, you sick fuck.
Anger laced through every inch of her voice as she pulled the trigger. A blast of magical energy hit the stallion before he could do anything. His body glowed bright pink, and then he fell into a pile of ash. Without a second glance, Mother walked over to the panel, hooked her pip-buck into the panel, entered the code, and hit the button. With a loud screech, the door opened. She ran out as soon as it started to roll away. Once she was on the other side, she used the outer panel and shut the door. She ran for it, the sound of the door starting to close behind her, echoing throughout the tunnels. She smiled, then used her magic to teleport herself right up to the door that led out of the tunnels. Her heart was racing again, and I could tell she didn't have much left in her. She breathed heavily, looking at the door that led out and sighed. She pushed the door open. Then before she walked out, she looked down. Laying on the ground was the old chain and lock near the dead family I found when I left.
Maybe this will keep them from following me,
she said, picking it up. She walked out, then wrapped the chain around the door and locked it from the inside with her magic, making it look as if the family had done so. I wasn't sure why she decided to do that. She looked out into the vast open world and smiled.
I hope you make it out of there, okay, my little morning star? I love you.
She finally let her emotions get the best of her, and tears started to fall. She let them fall as she slowly walked away from Stable 28. I jumped as I came out of the memory orb still sitting next to my head. I looked around, still a little out of it. The experience I just had left me in tears. I had a feeling the memory was of my mother, but what I'd seen, I could never have guessed. She left the stable just like I thought, and Auntie knew. She left the stable, leaving me behind because of something to do with my condition. What condition was she talking about, and why couldn't she take me with her? She also had been the one who left the Pip-Buck Mark II. But why? Auntie did say something about hidden files. I looked through the Pip-Buck before but never found anything on it. I have no idea how to feel about what I saw. I'm not sure if I should feel more abandoned than I already do, or if I should feel relieved because she left me behind to keep me safe from whatever was out there in the wasteland. For now, I'd just have to let it be. My best bet was trying to find her and ask her myself. She was the one who will be able to tell me the truth.
Did you find what you were looking for in their shadow?
Silver asked me, looking up from her bed. I laid my head back down and sat on the blankets. I'm not sure. It was only the memory of my mother escaping the stable. I don't really know what was so important about it. All I could tell was that there's something hidden in this Pip-Buck, but I have no idea how to find it or why it matters.
Well, I'm sure there was a reason for her to leave it behind. You won't know, though, unless you find her and ask her yourself, though I'm not sure how you're going to find her.
After a few moments, I finally spoke. I have to try at least. She's the only one who can explain everything.
How can you, though? You don't even know where to start looking. The equestrian wasteland is a large place. She could be anywhere from Las Pegasus to Hoovington.
In the memory orb, she said something about the Rangers. I think she was working with them? I should start with them. I looked up at her, my red eyes meeting hers.
Are you sure that's a good idea? It's been years since that memory took place. You have no idea if she's still with them or if they'll tell you where she is. I'd be surprised if they let you in. The Steel Rangers aren't much for outsiders coming to knock on their door.
I smiled at her. I'm not worried about that. I think I have a way in.
Really? How?
The pony who helped me in the Raider camp is a Star Paladin. She's expecting me to bring that memory orb to them. She'll be my way in, and maybe can help me find out more about my mother.
Okay, but I want you to be careful. Those Steel Rangers are all about tech. Bring up that pip-buck, and it could be dangerous. If you're not careful, you could find yourself at the wrong end of a magical energy rifle.
I rolled my eyes. I'll do my best.
You should go check on Box Tape and that Pegasus. He might be able to help you find your way and get a plan set up.
I wanted to say something. Instead, I looked away, getting to my hooves. I'll do that. Can you do something for me, though?
And what's that?
Get better and stay safe. I could see tears in her eyes as she looked away again.
I will. I promise I'll be here when you come back.
I smiled and turned to leave. As I made my way out the door, I heard a soft sob coming from her room. I wasn't sure what just had happened, but I knew she needed to be left alone. Sometimes it's better to do nothing. That's what Auntie said to me. So I left the clinic and headed back to the Equestrian Express. I just made it to the door when I almost ran into Stardust.
Whoa! Watch it, small fry. Careful while you're walking.
I'm not small. You're just massively oversized. I snapped at him, not in the mood for the weird Pegasus or his witty remarks.
Oversized? Nah, you're just short. Ass. Whatever. So, what's the plan?
He asked, completely ignoring my irritation. We're going where Sapphire told me to go, when I was done with the memory orb.
We?
I thought you were going with me or something, seeing as how you stuck around since we rescued the prisoners from the camp.
Only reason I've stuck around is because I have nowhere else to go.
Well, you got nothing better to do.
So go with her. Maybe I could lend a hoof and make sure she don't die or something.
Box Tape said as he walked into the front room.
But she's just so... she's just... hostile,
he exclaimed, pointing a wing at me.
Go ahead being a wussy and just go. I'm sure she won't bite. At least not too hard.
Box Tape said with a chuckle.
Fine. I'll go. Just let me get my things.
Stardust said, mumbling under his voice.
This is what I get for being a nice guy.
I followed him. You think I'm hostile? You're the one being an ass with your asinine sarcasm. He stopped, looking back at me.
Listen, I'm not an ass. I just call things as I see them.
Well, maybe you should think before you talk then. I snapped back. He laughed again.
I don't see any reason to. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or anything. I just like to joke around.
Whatever. But can you at least try and think before you speak? Please? I asked, finally giving in. It took a moment for him to answer.
Well, I guess, since you're being so polite about it.
He grinned at me, picking up his own saddlebags.
What's taking y'all so long?
Box Tape called from the other room. Sorry, Box Tape, I replied, walking into the other room, Stardust close behind.
Since y'all be heading off to the Steel Rangers, I have something for you to deliver to me.
Deliver? Why would I be doing that, though? I'm on a mission to find my mother.
You're also a courier, and you have a job to do.
I'd forgotten all about agreeing to help Box Tape out with the business. I blushed a little. I forgot about that. What do you want me to bring them?
Just a package. Some pony brought it in a couple days ago. It's to go to the Elder and only her. The sender paid up front 300 caps. Your cut is 100.
He said, walking over and handing me a small wrapped parcel and a small bag filled with bottle caps. I still think this is stupid. You all use caps as currency, I said, putting them both into my saddlebags.
Not sure what else to use, actually. Y'all should get going. It's a long way to the bunker.
Box Tape said before pointing at my pip-buck.
That mare from before marked the location on your pip-buck, if I remember right. The place is called Hidden Sands. The bunker is in the middle of nowhere. But be careful when y'all go near it. They keep some old tech of theirs running that makes a massive sandstorm run through the valley
to help hide the entrance to the stronghold. It also keeps their scouts and guards hidden. Don't go wandering around too long in there. Try and find a scout and tell him you're a courier."
I looked at the map on my pip-buck and asked, "It looks like a long way to go. How long will it take?"
"Hard to say. If the weather stays nice and you don't run into any trouble, it shouldn't be longer than 1 or 2 days.
Buckstape replied.
"Wouldn't take too long if we just fly,"
Stardust said, looking over my shoulder at my map.
"Oh no, I'm a unicorn, not a bird. I don't really want to be flying only to have you drop me,"
I said, looking back at him.
"Fine, suit yourself. But I'm telling you, it's a lot faster by wing."
"That might be.
But y'all risking getting spotted by the Enclave. I don't think y'all want to risk being a Pegasus under the clouds getting spotted by 'em."
"Good point, Gramps.
"Guess we'll hoof it. Though I never ran at any Enclave ponies before while flying around,"
he said, turning to leave. "Hey, Buckstape, I think it's going to be okay here?" I asked, feeling a little worried that something else might happen to the town. He smiled.
"Listen, Shadow, you can't be worrying about every pony all the time. Cartwheel's been around a long time, and we've all seen our fair share of trouble. Don't be worrying about us or me. You go find out what you can about your mom. Also, stay safe, and keep an eye on that there Pegasus. You hear?"
"I'll do that. But I don't think he seems like much trouble. He's kind of a boob." Buckstape gave me a serious look.
"Listen here, Shadow. I trusted him because he helped you. But I talked with him, and most of his story doesn't add up. Just be careful. It's all I'm asking."
"Okay, I will. Be safe, Buckstape."
"Oh, just get going,"
he said, turning back to his living room. I walked out of the Equestrian Express. Stardust was waiting for me with his own saddlebags packed up and ready to go. A long rifle was slung over his back with a scope on it.
"So, Shadow, should we get going?"
"Hey, where'd you get that rifle?" I asked. He looked back at it, then back at me.
"Oh, I flew back to the camp an hour or so ago while you were visiting Silver Snip. The camp's empty, and I found it next to the body of that big pony who was trying to kill you."
"Why would you risk going back there just for the gun?" He looked offended.
"I made this rifle. I searched for a week to find all the parts for it when I first got out of my stable. I put a lot of work into it, and it saved me a few times. I couldn't just leave it behind in the mud or to get found by some wandering pony or raider. Can we get going?"
I rolled my eyes. "Yeah, as long as you're ready."
"Sure am. We've been hanging around this town for too long as it is."
I noticed as he spoke, his eyes were scanning the skies and his wings were fluttering ever so slightly. I wonder what's got him so nervous. We walked out of town. I'm not sure what'll happen next, but this is where I'd have to start. I like Cartwheel. I don't want to leave it for the barren equestrian wasteland, but I have to. So I took one last look at Cartwheel, then turned and headed out following Stardust.
"It's been 3 hours now, and you haven't said a word, Shadow. What's up?"
Stardust asked me as we walked slowly down the northern trail. It wasn't the first time he tried to get me to talk either. I really didn't know what to say to him. For the most part, I found him annoying, but I also didn't know how to talk to him. It was a Pegasus from an unknown stable, and he's a stallion. I wasn't good at talking with stallions apart from Balefire, and he'd been my friend since we were foals. Most stallions made me nervous. None had ever really been kind to me in Stable 28. Buckstape was different. He was an old pony and had a friendly way about him. But Stardust just was so different. I knew I couldn't put it off forever. "I'm sorry," was all I could think of.
"For what?"
"I don't know. I'm just sorry." He laughed, flapping his wings a little.
"Sorry doesn't mean much if you don't know what you're sorry for. My drill sergeant says not to apologize for things if you don't mean it, or don't know what it's for."
I looked up at him.
I guess I'm sorry for dragging you with me like this. You really didn't have to tag along with me. It's not like the old stallion can do much to make you.
Nah, I don't mind it at all. Truth be told, I'm kind of the same boat as you are in. Also, I don't have much to do down here apart from killing raiders and saving a few folks when I can,
he said matter-of-factly. Why do you do that anyways?
What? Save ponies? Because that's the right thing to do is why. And I want to give folks a better image of Pegasi. What little I know of the Enclave, I know they aren't too kind to folks below the clouds. When I was a colt, I thought I knew everything about the Enclave. They taught us that we'd be Equestria's saviors. Turns out it wasn't true, though.
That's kind of a noble thing to do, I guess.
Nothing noble about it. Just the right thing to do,
he said. He didn't seem to smile, though. He had more of a sad look to him. I was wondering something. What's that? If you're from a stable, like you say you are, why don't you have a pip buck like I do? I noticed his lack of one before, but never had the chance to ask him about it. He looked down at his foreleg.
What makes you think all stable ponies have pip bucks?
In my stable, any pony gets one when they come of age, and from what I read so far in the survival guide, any stable pony that comes out of a stable has one.
You aren't wrong, I guess. My stable was different than most. We didn't have unicorns or earth ponies around to help keep them running right. We don't have many pip bucks, and the ones we do have go to the high-ranking members of the stable. I wasn't important enough to have one. Not that I mind, though. I don't need one.
I think it's pretty useful. Helps a lot with targeting and keeping things organized. I look forward to getting one for a long while, I said, looking down at my pip buck. He scoffed.
I don't need that to help me shoot.
Really? How good are you?
Best shot around. Didn't you see my cutie mark?
He said, pointing to his flank. I looked at the cross surrounded by a circle, small dots on the lines of the cross. I thought that meant you were some kind of doctor or something. It reminds me of the symbol in medical back in 28.
You really don't know anything about guns, do you?
We didn't use them in our stable. Only high-level security had them, and only in case the stable was ever invaded. What's that have to do with your cutie mark?
It's not a cross. Well, not exactly. It's crosshairs of a sniper scope. Got it when I was really young.
So that means your special talent is shooting ponies?
Kinda. More like it's Mark's ponyship or shooting things accurately. I just really understand guns. I know how they work, how to build them, and how to shoot them really well. Since I was little, I always understood how the rifle would fire, how the bullet would fall depending on the distance and if other factors were involved.
It's kind of an odd cutie mark.
Not in my stable. Most ponies where I come from have some kind of cutie mark that revolves around that kind of thing.
What kind of stable did you live in? I asked at him, looking with a confused look. He got that dark look again.
It doesn't matter. What about your cutie mark? I haven't seen one like it before. What's your special talent?
I don't really know for sure. I got it after I broke into the Overmare's office. I wanted to prove to a friend of mine that I could, but one of her guards came in while I was still in there. I hid under the desk and was really scared I'd get caught. So I don't know how, but I concentrated really hard and teleported out of the office. I got it somewhere between getting into the office and teleporting out. He started to snicker.
So you ended up with a purple star with 2 keys on it. That's kind of funny. At least I know what mine means.
Hey, I like my cutie mark. I might not fully understand it, but it's still mine, and it's kind of cute.
Well, you got me there. It does kind of work on you and with your name.
I couldn't help but smile. You know what? You're really not that bad, Stardust.
What makes you say that?
Where I came from, I didn't have much to do with the rest of the ponies. I only had a couple of friends. They were the only ponies my age who were nice to me. I never thought I'd find other people who were, well, good to me. I mean, you aren't really nice to me, but you aren't mean either. So, thank you for that.
I can't figure out why any pony wouldn't like you. I mean, you're kind of a shrimp and have a bad temper, but that isn't any reason to be mean. Why were they like that with you anyway?
I was a unicorn in a earth pony only stable. They didn't take kindly to me. He was quiet for a while after that, just looking out into the wastes. After some time went by, I finally spoke up again. How long have you been out here in the wasteland? He looked back at me again.
About 6 months now. Why do you ask?
I was just wondering. I'm amazed you survived this long on your own.
Being able to fly and having military level training helps a little,
He said with a proud smirk.
You know what? I'm kind of bored walking around like this. Think you can turn on the radio?
Do I look like I'm carrying around a radio?
Yeah, all Pip-Bucks have a radio in them. Figured you'd know that.
I looked down at my Pip-Buck, ignoring his comment and flipping through some tabs. I hadn't noticed it before, but there was a radio. Great, so the Pegasus knows even more about my Pip-Buck than I do. There are 3 stations showing up.
The only one that matters is the first one,
he said, pointing a hoof at my Pip-Buck's screen. I reached down and clicked on it. Right away, soft music started to play. It was a beautiful voice. She was singing a song that was sad and made you want to cry, but at the same time it was beautiful and made you want to keep listening. Stardust just smiled as she sang and closed his eyes, listening to the soft music as it played. It only lasted a minute, then the song ended and a loud, energetic stallion's voice came over.
Hello, children of the wasteland! This is your one and only DJ Pony. That was the beautiful Sweetie Belle. You know what time it is now, my faithful listeners. That's right. It's time for the news.
The voice was deep and smooth. I kinda liked it, even if it did sound like he was shouting.
Now, I know I didn't get to give you all that much news out from Western Equestria, but today I do. For the past few years now, a whole lot of raiders have been blocking the pass just outside the trading town of Cartwheel, keeping the caravans from passing through to the northwestern pass, making them take the longer and more dangerous route to the north. Well, if you're with the caravans, you won't have to worry anymore about those nasty raiders. Yesterday, a young mare wearing a courier outfit from Equestrian Express went in there all by herself and somehow killed the boss who ran the place and a few of his followers, saving some of the citizens of Cartwheel in the process. Now the entire encampment is gone, and not a single raider is left to terrorize Cartwheel, or any traders or caravans passing through. So thank you, Courier Mare, whoever you are. Keep up the good work. Now, here's some Sapphire Shores for you.
I turned down the radio and looked over at Stardust. What the fuck was that? How did this DJ Pony know about that? Also, he left out the fact that I had help.
Oh, DJ knows most things that happen in the wasteland. And he's the most honest pony out there. So what if he left out the fact that you had help? Maybe he didn't see everything that happened.
But how did he know about me doing what I did? And how couldn't he have known I had help?
No idea, Shadow. No pony really knows how he does what he does. I say just take in the praise and don't worry about it too much.
Well, I don't like it. It's pretty creepy, you know.
It is what it is. And in the wasteland, I'll take DJ watching over ponies and keeping the reports going versus the other things that happen around here.
From what I see, apart from raiders, what else can go wrong? Apart from the dead landscape and hard living?
You gotta remember that you haven't been out here very long, and you haven't seen half the dangers that you can run into. Hell, I'd take raiders over hellhounds.
What the fuck are hellhounds? I asked as we rounded a corner to a tall cliff.
Trust me, you don't ever want to find out. You won't live long enough to tell any pony else. If you really want to know, though, look into that book of yours.
Okay. He's annoying sometimes, but I'll take his word on that one. As we came around the corner, I saw something buzzing around just down the road. It was big and gross. What the fuck is that? I said, pulling out old Festus.
Oh, that? It's nothing. Just a bloat sprite. Nasty critters, but not harmful by themselves,
he said, picking his rifle out and pointing down the scope, his muzzle holding onto the grip. Can you really hit it from this far away? He just smiled and took a breath. As he let it out, slowly he fired. There was a loud boom, and a second later the nasty bug exploded into a few chunks, green ooze flying everywhere.
Ew! Gross. See? Nothing to it,
he mumbled with the grip in his mouth. I'll admit, that was impressive. How does that crappy rifle work so well?
It just looks crappy. Like I said before, I built it myself when I left the stable. Used what I could find, but I'm not good with weapons, and I made sure it was perfect for hitting things from far away. Good guns to have when you're up against things and you're in the air and you need to kill something down here,
Stardust said, with a proud smile on his face. Okay, dead shot, no need to brag. I stared out as he put a hoof up to quiet me.
Shh!
He started looking around, his ears perking up high. What? You know it's not polite to interrupt some pony when they're speaking, right? Especially a mare?
I said shush! He whispered. Stay here for a sec. Stay quiet.
Without another word, he jumped into the air. I watched him go high up, looking around frantically. Then his eyes fell on something down the road, and he dove to the ground. When he landed, I whispered, "What in Celestia's name is wrong with you?"
"Damn it. I think they saw me,"
he said in a worried tone.
"Who saw you? Raiders?"
He started to say,
"No, worse."
I was going to ask him what it was, but then a loud cry came out echoing down the road. It sounded like some sort of tortured monster that were walking down the road ahead. What was that?
Ghouls.
What do you mean, ghouls? I met a ghoul back in Cartwheel. He was creepy looking, but a decent pony.
Feral? Ghouls, to be exact. Yeah, I'm sure the one you met in town was normal for the most part, but ferals are a different matter. They don't have any intelligence left. Their brains rotted away a long time ago. All they know is how to chase you down and rip the flesh from your body. And they always seem to travel in herds,
he said, backing up. Can't we just kill them?
Normally, yes. But there had to be at least 50 or more down that way. And I think they heard my gunshot. They might have seen me when I flew up here too. Can't be too sure. Their eyesight isn't the best.
What do we do now then? I asked, looking down the road, the sounds getting closer.
We could get lucky and they might wander off.
But as Stardust said that, a few of them came over the top of the hill. He hadn't been lying. What stood up there looked like a dead pony walking. Its coat was mostly burnt away. Its eyes were dead and black, a look of hunger on its face. The first one to crest the hill used to be a unicorn, its horn missing its tip, its mane just a couple chunks of fluff on its head. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find my voice as more crested the hill. They saw us and let out a bloody scream and charged at, faster than I thought something like that could possibly move. Stardust grabbed onto me and pulled me into the air as one jumped at me.
"You've got to get out of here, Shadow,"
he said, climbing higher into the air. He didn't get very high, however, because in the air were more ghouls. They looked like they had once been Pegasi, their wings only bones with a few feathers still on them. I have no idea how they could fly like that, but somehow they could. Stardust dove to the ground again, pulling up at the last minute right over the other ghouls, zipping fast through the air, going for a crack in the side of the cliff. I felt like I was going to hurl, as he zigzagged and dove around the Pegasi and jumping ghouls on the ground. He landed a moment later next to a metal disc in the ground. I looked at it, my head still spinning in sync with my stomach as I looked down at it. What's that?
A pony hole cover. Use your magic and pull it open, and get in. We can use it to get away from them.
I did as he said, focusing my magic on the heavy disc and pulled. It was heavy, but not too heavy that I couldn't lift it. I heard Stardust firing behind me, keeping them from getting too close. I did my best to ignore it and pulled harder. Finally, I lifted it up and opened the rusty hinges. "I got it!" I yelled. Stardust backed up using his hind legs and pushed me in. He jumped in after me. "Pull it closed now!" I grasped it once again with magic and slammed it down hard. As it slammed shut, one of the ghoul's heads got in the way, and the heavy ponyhole cover squashed it like its rotting head was a ripe melon, spraying me with blackish-red ichor, bone, and gray matter. As the lid closed, I saw a latch on it and twisted it, hearing something click home. I hoped to Celestia that was a lock. The sound of roaring and screeching could be heard from the outside, but it didn't seem like they could open it. Panting hard, I leaned back against the wall. That was scary. I agree. I haven't seen that many all at once before. We were lucky I saw this tunnel from the air, Stardust said, trying to catch his breath. Yeah? Now what do we do? Not like they're gonna go away anytime soon. We'll be fine. Most tunnels like this have another way out. We'll just have to see where it leads, and hope it's somewhere safer than out there. I looked past him at the slightly dark tunnel, then back at the hole we'd just come through. I think you're right, but it doesn't look like it's much safer down here than up there. Just keep your gun out and ready for action. Ghouls like dark, damp tunnels. If you run into any, there shouldn't be more than a few at a time. Much easier to fight off, he said with a smile. I sighed and pulled my rifle out again. Okay then, let's get going. Shadow? What? Don't you want to get cleaned up a bit first? I felt my face with a hoof. That blackish stuff was dripping down my once beautiful silver mane, down my face and chest. I looked back at him and shook my head. Not right now. I'll just have to deal with it. Without another word, I stepped past the Pegasus and started to walk down the dark tunnel, not knowing what we'd find. But it couldn't be as bad as what we just left. Could it? Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Helping Hoof. Companions are always a good thing to have when wandering the equestrian wasteland. When your friends are near, you gain plus 15% chance to get a critical hit while using sats.